so here I am, trying to talk about the problem in which we are now. Yes, from my group, from the Latino group, I see things with fear. Because imagine if you are fearful from the African American, imagine what it is for us. 11 million of us without papers. A paper that doesn't grant you, or it does, but you are fearful to go to the library to get a card for your daughter or son, because then they will track you and you are not able to defend them. That you cannot rent houses, that you are in constant fear of everything, including education, because that will mean that you are going to be out of the very safe barrier in which you grow and your children grow, out of that security that sometimes ignorance provides for us. However, what we decided, and when I say we, I always refer to Alma Florada and me, that in 21 years we have written 160 some books about Latinos, for Latinos. That means a lot of books, but they are short, they are for children, so it has been able, and we are old. But what really has meant for us is taking the words of Paulo Freire, that you all know how much works for that freedom of the mind and of the soul. Paulo is saying that reading is not walking on the words, is grasping the soul of them. And what is the soul of the word Latino? Latino is a made-up culture. 55 million in this country are now Latino. But actually, outside of the United States, we are Panamanians and Spaniards, and we are Argentinians and Costa Ricans and Venezuelans and Cubans. Here, we are Latino. And as such, we are a culture that does not know each other. We are made up with Mexicans, which are the big group, but also by many others. And I am going to talk about the soul of these by trying to understand each other. We are now everywhere in this country by the millions. In your school districts, I am sure that you have one or more of us in your classes, and what that represents. What language, in which way, how do we do? And then in third grade, let's push them out of their culture, their origin, their language, their family, and their intimacy, and bring them into the English only education. We know that that is the need, but we don't need to teach English and forget the Spanish. Even a teacher that doesn't know Spanish can help, or Chinese, because now the immigration of Chinese is as big as the immigration of Latinos this past year. So what can every teacher do? And actually, the wonderful thing would be the entire population to speak more than 2 languages, or at least 2, That would be quite a thing to do. So we are everywhere, and of Mexican origin, or Puerto Rican, and there you see, in some of them are the same cities, but not all the time, and Cuban, and also by the hundreds of thousands of Salvadorian, also very big, like the Dominican and the Guatemalan. But it's not only the origin that we need to think about, and the differences that are all about, is also the origin, either African, Asian, European, Caucasian, indigenous, or Sephardic, as part of that culture. We Are Latinos is one piece of the many books, but one of the latest, in which we have tried to talk about all of those differences and to try to learn from who we are. Paulo says that liberating education consists in acts of cognition, not in transfers of information. We need to feel first and learn with it. So we have written 13 profiles of children and or students, and then we have written a poem about them, and each one of them starts by saying their name. My name is Felipe. I am Panameño and Venezuelan. I am black. I live in Chicago. I am Latino. And these will change with many aspects. But then in the nonfiction part of the book, we talk about, what is the background? Yes, 70% in some countries is African, Latino. So all the Caribbean and the areas of the Atlantic have 70% of the population of the Hispanics are Latino. And of course, they have brought us not only Celia Cruz and Su Azúcar, wonderful music, and Pablo Milanés and Ibrahim Ferrer, but also the poets like Nicolás Guillén, Wilfredo Lam, that is African and Chinese, and Lydia Cabrera and Sonia Sanchez. We have a lot to say thank you to all that African heritage that we have in our Latino culture. Another very unknown is the Chinese and Japanese presence in our culture. And we introduce that through Michiko that says, I am Peruvian, Sansei, I live in Los Angeles, I am Latina. Yes, we definitely don't know too much, and we try for the children to understand that this diaspora of the Japanese, especially to Mexico, Brazil, and Peru, had many tragic consequences. In 1943, 2,200 were brought from Peru and interned in concentration camps. And just imagine what this meant. These people were Hispanic. They spoke no English and no Japanese, and they were brought to concentration camps in the United States during a period of time in which they were not persona non grata. But look at the numbers. 800 of them were used as exchange of prisoners of war, and they were from Latin America, and 1,000 of them were deported to Japan, where they had no ties, just because their country of origin didn't want to receive them back. So it's very, very painful, as it is painful that Ronald Reagan offered a formal apology and gave $20,000. That is not enough to any of the American, Japanese that were interned, but they gave 5,000 to those poor Latin Americans of Japanese origin. And of course, the European Caucasian, it's a very important, and as part of that, and in the United States, there is a fairly important group that is the Sephardic. Sephardic means Hispania, and these are Jewish people of Hispanic origin that were sent abroad, I say sent, kicked abroad from Queen Isabel de Castilla y Fernando de Aragon in 1492. And they are in the United States, all over the world, still speaking Sephardic, which is a mix of Spanish and Jewish. And then the Hispanos in New Mexico, that it's so wonderful to go to Santa Fe or Albuquerque and talk to them like I would be talking to Cervantes, because they have kept their old Spanish forms. And then, of course, we have the indigenous, and I have 25 seconds. And in these, I can only say that they are, there are still 50 languages alive in Mexico. They haven't gone, and the 40 million people of Latin America that are of Native American origin have brought us a lot of richness. All the Colombian cultures were fantastic. I wanted to read to you what Roman said. I am Hispanic, Native American. I live in New Mexico. I am Latino. But I think I am going to start hearing some flamenco. And so I will dance to it to say, I told you.